This is the COSTWAY 12000 British Thermal Units mini split air conditioner and heater, and it solved a very simple problem for me. I can keep the rooms I actually use perfectly comfortable without running the entire house. I would call this a ductless heating and cooling system for people who spend most of their time in a few spaces. If you are like me, the central system used to run all day for areas no one was in. With this, I set my bedroom and the main living area exactly where I want them, and I stop paying to condition empty rooms. It is also a strong fit for anyone in an older home without ducts, a home office that gets too warm in the afternoon, or a bedroom where quiet matters more than anything. The indoor unit has a clean, understated look that fades into the room. It is about 7.5 inches tall, 34.5 inches wide, and roughly 11.5 inches deep, so it sits on the wall without crowding furniture or blocks. The finish is smooth white without any gloss that catches the light, and the display only glows when I need it. Air comes out in a wide, even curtain instead of a narrow blast, and the vanes can angle the flow up or down so I do not get cold air on my face while I am reading in bed. Outside, the compressor sits on a small pad next to the house, roughly 61 pounds, which makes it sturdy enough to stay put during storms but not a visual distraction. I do not notice it unless I walk right up to it. Installation matters with these systems, and I decided to do what the manufacturer recommends and hire a professional. Copper lines have to be flared and sealed, the refrigerant circuit needs to be vacuumed, and the wiring has to be correctly tied into a dedicated breaker. I am comfortable around tools, but this is the kind of job where one mistake can cause leaks or worse. The installer ran the line through the wall, set the drain with the right slope, pressure tested the connections, and had the whole thing up and running in a few hours. The kit included the lines, the drain hose, the mounting hardware, and the communication cable, so nothing was missing. I am glad I did not try to rush it myself. A good install is the foundation for everything that comes after. Daily use is refreshingly simple. There is a small remote control that mirrors the display on the unit, and the layout makes sense even if you have never used a mini split before. I press power, pick a temperature, and choose the mode. Cool, heat, dry, or fan. Fan speed and vane direction are quick taps. I only needed a couple days before it felt second nature. Response is quick. When I bump the set point down a few degrees, I feel cooler air within a minute, and within a handful of minutes the whole room is even. The system ramps up and down smoothly instead of snapping on and off like an older window unit or a single-stage central system. That gentle modulation is noticeable in two ways. The sound stays soft, and the temperature does not swing. Cooling performance has been strong in my medium-sized rooms. The rating is 12,000 British thermal units, which is plenty for a bedroom and a living room up to around 750 square feet if the home is insulated reasonably well. I used it through a late summer heat wave where the outside temperature sat in the mid-90s for several afternoons. The bedroom stayed steady at my set point without the unit blasting full tilt all night. I slept better because the noise is more of a low, smooth whoosh instead of a mechanical roar. Heating has been just as consistent through the early winter. On chilly mornings in the 30s and 40s, the room warms up fast, and it does not dry out the air the way some electric heaters do. When the outside temperature dips into the teens, the output softens a bit, which is normal for heat pumps. On those very cold nights, I set the temperature a touch higher, or I use a small space heater for a short time. For my climate, which gets a mix of mild and cold days, it has been completely fine. Energy use is where I felt the biggest difference. My old routine was to set the central thermostat and forget it. That meant I was cooling or heating 2 floors for 2 people. With the mini split, I condition the rooms I am actually in and leave the rest alone. The efficiency rating is 20 on the Seasonal Energy Efficiency Ratio 2 standard, and I do notice it in the bill. After the first full month of using it for the main rooms, my energy cost dropped by around 20% compared to the same period when I ran the central system all day. That is not a lab test. That is my utility statement and my day-to-day habits shifting toward targeted comfort. I tried a few real-world scenarios to see where it shines and where it struggles. During a long afternoon of direct sun in the living room, I set the vanes to blow upward and let the cool air wash across the ceiling and fall. The hot spots near the windows evened out faster than I expected, and I did not get that cold ankles, hot head feeling. Overnight in the bedroom, I use sleep mode, which slightly adjusts the set point over time and slows the fan to keep the sound gentle. I woke up without that stale, overcooled feeling I used to get from machines that cycle off and then snap back on. On a wet fall day, I tried the dry mode after bringing in a pile of laundry. It quietly pulled the dampness out of the air in about an hour without turning the room into a refrigerator. I also pay attention to voices on calls, and the indoor unit is quiet enough that I do not have to mute it during video meetings. One specific use case that sold me was winter mornings. I wake up early, and I like the bedroom to be warm before I get out from under the blanket. I set the timer the night before so the unit starts gently heating 30 minutes before my alarm. By the time I am up, the air feels soft and even, not hot at the ceiling and cold at the floor. If I walk into the kitchen to make coffee, I hit the power button on the remote, and it idles quietly. The convenience of that simple routine made me stop relying on the whole house system for these quick comfort moments. There are a few smart touches that genuinely help. There is a mode that uses the temperature sensor in the remote control instead of the sensor inside the wall unit. When I keep the remote on the nightstand, the system adjusts to how the air actually feels where I am sitting or sleeping. There is an eco mode that trims power use when I am leaving the room for a while but want it to stay close to my preferred temperature. The self-cleaning feature heats the indoor coil to burn off residue and then pushes out the moisture, which keeps musty odors away. I pull out the washable filter every few weeks and rinse it in the sink. It takes a minute, and I can see the dust that would have ended up in the air. In winter, the outdoor unit has an automatic defrost cycle so frost does not build up on the coil. I notice it as a short pause followed by normal operation, and then it is back to heating. If you like controlling things from a phone, some versions support wireless app control. My routine has been the remote, and I honestly do not miss the app. There are also a few quirks. Installation is not a do-it-yourself afternoon unless you have the right tools and experience. That is not a downside to me, but it is something to budget for and plan. The outdoor unit can be heard when it is working hard, especially right after a defrost cycle or on a scorching day. Although once I step a few feet away it fades into the background. The remote on my unit does not have a bright backlight, so in the dark I sometimes tilt it toward a lamp to read the display. The last thing to keep in mind is extreme cold. When the outside temperature goes really low, a supplemental heat source for an hour or two overnight might be helpful. None of these have been deal breakers, but they are the kind of details I would have wanted to know before buying. Reliability has been reassuring so far. The materials feel solid, the indoor unit does not rattle, and the swing mechanism that moves the vanes has not clicked or stuck. The warranty gives me a little extra confidence, with longer coverage on the compressor and a separate term for parts. I hope I will never need it, but it is nice to have. Stepping back, what I appreciate most is control and quiet. I am not cooling and heating square footage I am not using. I'm not waking up to the thump of a blower. I pick a number, press a button, and the room feels right. If you live in a large home that is mostly empty during the day, if you have a room that your central system never seems to balance, or if you are sensitive to noise when you sleep, this kind of system makes a lot of sense. If you live where winter spends long stretches well below freezing, think of it as your main system for most days and a partner for a backup heat source on the coldest nights. If you rent, make sure you have approval because it is a permanent install, but it is one of the most effective upgrades I have used for comfort. I like products that disappear into my routine. This one does. It looks clean, it works quietly, and it gives me targeted comfort without wasting energy. I feel more in control of my environment, and that has made a noticeable difference in the way my day starts and ends. I do not have any interest in marketing phrases. I care about sleeping through the night, feeling steady air in the afternoon, and seeing a utility bill that matches the way I live. This checks those boxes. I'll leave the details about the COSTWAY 12000 BTU mini split air conditioner and heater in the comments for you to check out. See you in the next video.